So, for some context, me, a 32-year-old female, and my ex 32-year-old man had our daughter, 16, back when we were in high school. We broke up after graduation, but remained friendly for our daughter's sake. Me and my ex are both married and have kids with our new partners. I have one 9-year-old daughter with my husband, and my ex has 3 young ones under the age of 6 with his wife. My daughter alternates between our houses each week, switching each Friday. Every time I get her back, she complains about how her stepmom is really strict and rude. She has my daughter always cleaning most of the house and watching her younger siblings all the time. There was even one instance where she stayed home from school to watch her younger brother who had a stomachache. My ex's wife has never liked me, by the way, since she always thought it was weird that me and my ex are friends, even though we're only friendly for our daughter's sake. So sometimes I feel like she's hard on my daughter out of spite for me. I never got too upset about it though. I know having 3 young ones can't be easy, and that she just needs my daughter's help around the house a bit. But she takes it too far. She always saying that me and my ex were too soft on our daughter growing up, so now she's disrespected and spoiled. Which, by the way, isn't true. I may not have beaten my kids with belts, but I still disciplined them. They both have grown up to be respectful young ladies, and I've never gotten a complaint from their teachers. Anyway, my daughter's stepmom gets super upset if my daughter forgets to do just one chore, which she does so much already. She cleans the bathroom, washes the dishes, does laundry, mows the yard, takes out the garbage, etc. On top of all that, she still has schoolwork to get done. Well, Thursday, my daughter got yelled at by her stepmom for forgetting to do the dishes that night, even though she only forgot to because she was studying for an upcoming test. When my daughter tried to explain herself, my ex jumped in and got mad at her for talking back. They were both yelling at her, and when she tried to speak up for herself, when her stepmom slapped her for being disrespectful. Well, yesterday, my daughter drove to my home from school to spend her week with me. She told me about what happened, and she was really upset about it. I was pissed. First of all, I wouldn't even let my husband slap her, so to know her stepmom did made me furious. She can do whatever she wants to her children, but she has no right to put her grown hands on my child. So I drove over to their house to confront her stepmom about it. Stepmom got really defensive and ended up getting in my face, talking about how I should have raised her better. My ex took her side, of course, since that's his wife. Me and her said some things back and forth, and after physically trying to push me out of her house, I ended up slapping her and asking her something along the lines of, "How does it feel when you get slapped? You don't like it, do you?" I'm not proud that I acted like this, and I even called my ex today and apologized for making a scene in his home. I even told him I'd be willing to apologize to her. But he told me that she was adamant on the fact that she was right, and she would not be apologizing to our daughter. She's the type to say, "I don't need to explain myself to a child," so I guess that also means she doesn't feel the need to apologize when she's wrong too. I still feel like I should apologize, but I'm not sure if I want to, if she won't admit she was wrong. I'm not sure what I should do. I want to remain friendly with my ex, but I'm not sure I can stand her treatment towards my daughter anymore. Edit. To clear things up, I was not upset the whole way driving over there. I knocked on the door, and my ex let me in. I was staying calm while trying to talk to them like adults, when stepmom got in my face about how spoiled and disrespectful my daughter was being. I'm more of a gentle parent, so I don't believe in hitting your child the second they get you mad. She got mad at me and started trying to push me out the door. I got upset at her words and actions and swung. My daughter also isn't spoiled. I make her do chores too. And yes, because she's older, she has more chores than her younger sister. But I am understanding when she forgets, while her stepmom takes it as disrespect. I will take the blame for letting things get this far. I've talked to my ex before about her stepmom needing to be more lenient, and he always remained neutral. Me and my ex have been texting back and forth right now. And honestly, stepmom is more mad at my daughter than me since she thinks my daughter ran to me crying. I think we're gonna have her stay an extra week here because I cannot with that hoe right now. Edit. I did not apologize for standing up for my kid. I apologized for hitting her in her home where her young children could have seen. I shouldn't have lost my temper like that. But I don't think some of you understand how horrible it is to hear someone badmouth your kid. I don't care what her excuse was about having a bad day, or none of that. She shouldn't have put her grown hands on my child. Period. I have never forced my daughter to go to her dad's house. It's always been a routine for her to go to her dad's every other week. Her grandparents got her a car when she passed her driver's test. She has every right to stay here with me or go to her dad's. I do take blame for not encouraging her to choose, though. She was scared to disappoint or hurt her dad by choosing me over him. My daughter is free to choose where she wants to go. Since this whole thing happened, she'll be staying an extra week here probably, and we'll figure out the rest from there. Relevant comments. Somebody said, if this is a genuine post, everyone sucks here, except the kids. Instead of confronting the stepmom, you should have filed a police report against the woman for assaulting your daughter. But it never should have happened. When you discovered how badly your child has been treated, you should have immediately sought help from a lawyer to change custody arrangements. It is absolutely not okay for your daughter to have to miss school to take care of a sick sibling, and for the woman to use her as unpaid labor. And her father is a jerk for not defending his child. Do better and protect your daughter from these toxic people. Original poster replied, "Thank you. I really do appreciate your comment. I honestly regret raising my hand to her stepmom. I'm newly saved and old habits die hard. I'm protective when it comes to my girls and have a lapse of judgment. My ex said that he talked her down from being as upset as she was before, but she's more upset at my daughter than at me since she believes my daughter ran to me crying. I get, she thinks I spoil her, but I never understood why she let her personal opinion of me affect how she treats my child." Another comment. You're probably not gonna see this, but I was a stepdaughter that was slapped by my stepmom. Very similar situation. I told her she wasn't my mom, and she slapped me. My dad took her side, and that hurt way more than getting hit. I tried going over to my dad's on his weekends, but I was just doing chores all weekend. I moved in with my mom full-time after that. Please let her know that's an option for her. It's been over 15 years, and therapy helped me realize it's more than the slap. That stepmom is mentally abusive, and she just made it physical. And thank you for slapping her back. Original poster replied, "I'm so sorry this happened to you. I completely agree that she doesn't have to go live with her dad anymore. There are other ways of seeing him, and she's free to choose. I personally grew up with an absent parent, so I didn't want my daughter to be separated from her father or make her feel like she's choosing one parent over the other. But I realized that that's only done more harm than good because of stepmom, so there's going to have to be changes around our dynamic." Commenter. Not the a whole, but who is to say your daughter is telling the truth about everything too? I am a stepmom in a situation very similar, almost exact. Like the bio mom in my situation could probably write what you wrote word for word, other than the smacking part, because I would never do that. I never asked my stepdaughter to lift a finger, but she sure as hell painted it out, as I made her do it all. Even with my husband and his family pressuring me to make the stepdaughter do more, I never made her do anything. She is straight up delusional and has a ridiculous amount of attitude. She is very defiant. Attacked my kid too, like scratches on his back that bled, and cried to her mom about me yelling at her. Mom was pissed, though somehow failed to mention she left foot-long bleeding claw marks on her brother's back. It was just me, flying off the handle unnecessarily. After the bio mom in my situation wanted her full-time, without even asking what has been going on over here, I told my husband maybe it is better off this way so she can stop being a liar and an abuser. Her mom found out pretty quickly that her daughter lied about practically everything. Stepmom had no right to slap your daughter. Though I would do some more investigating and figure out the other side of the story. Original poster replied, "Yes, I agree. That's what I went over there for." But stepmom got really defensive and proved to me exactly what my daughter has been telling me. If she's been getting in my daughter's face like that, the way she's got in the other night, then there's no way I'm sending my kid back to her anytime soon. Also, so sorry to hear about your situation. That can't be easy. Somebody said, hold on here, your daughter has to do chores at your house and at her dad's house? Does it even get out, or does she do double duty? Either way, the stepmom sounds ridiculous and is treating her like Cinderella. Time to let your daughter pick where she wants to live full time. And if the stepmother slaps her again, she needs to call the cops, not the a-hole. Original poster replied, no, I usually don't have her do chores if she feels overstimulated or stressed out. We live in a really small house, so usually me and my husband do most of the housework. She is just in charge of cleaning her room and helping clean up around the house. Update. I appreciate everyone that responded, and I've read most of the replies, but I couldn't get through all of them. I believe I was fairly deemed as the a-hole, and I take full responsibility for everything I've done. My daughter's stepmom came over this morning, and we talked about what happened. She said she understands why I reacted the way I did, since she would do the same for her kids. She said that everything was a misunderstanding, and that she only had my daughter doing so many chores since my ex is always busy at work, and she has to chase 3 young ones around the house, so she needs extra help. I apologized for hitting her in her home, where you and her younger children could have seen, especially since I'm a Christian and I need to show that better. But I made it clear that she has no right to slap my daughter, no matter how upset she was. Again, I did not apologize for standing up for my daughter, but for letting my emotions cloud my judgment. I also added how there needs to be more boundaries in her home when it comes to how they treat my daughter, and how she'll be staying with me a little bit longer until I can trust that they'll treat her equally to their other children. She began to break down and cry about how stressed she's been and how she has postpartum depression. That made me feel more guilty for hitting her. She apologized for taking the discipline of my daughter into her own hands and passive-aggressively mentioned how she'll just tell her dad to handle it next time. She wanted to speak to my daughter, but was still asleep in her room, so I just said that she'll get to speak to her once my daughter is ready to speak to her. My husband is convinced that she is not sorry at all, though. She left not too long ago, so I thought I'd just give everyone this quick update if y'all are still interested. Thanks again, everyone. Edit. Me and my husband had a conversation with my daughter when she woke up. I expressed to her that she did nothing wrong and has every right to stay home with us, making sure she knows that everything she feels is valid and that no one has the right to put their hands on her. She rightfully felt like she didn't want to go back, but she was worried about my ex being upset about it. I explained to her that her father will always be just that, and she doesn't need to live there for them to still have a relationship. A lot is still going on with his parents finding out about it, and even though I'm worried about what this all means going forward, I'm 100% backing my daughter all the way. More relevant comments. Commenter, get custody. That's not okay. Original poster replied, we were never married, and since we had her in high school, we never had a court-ordered custody agreement. We just decided on our own. There are other ways for her to see her dad, other than going to his house, but I'm going to let her talk to her dad about it and decide what they want to do. Somebody said, if she's truly struggling with postpartum, and your ex isn't home enough to assist and support her, sounds like maybe your daughter should stay with you until they figure out their home life and situation. Even if she was actually sorry, I can easily see her coming back to the same excuse and making your daughter her punching bag maid again. Also, what was she like before when she first came around and before the first child? I'm just trying to see if her behavior is truly induced from the stress of being a mom of multiple small kids, or if she really just doesn't like you or your daughter. Original poster replied, yes, that's exactly what I explained to her too, before she had her breakdown. Also, when my ex first got with her about 6 years ago, they weren't in a serious relationship since they didn't live in the same city, so he never introduced her to my daughter. She was also living with me and my husband at the time, since her dad was living in San Antonio. But then his now wife had gotten pregnant by him, so he moved back here to be with her, since she didn't want to move. They got married a year or so later. We started switching our daughter from each house when my daughter was about 10, since he now lived in the same city as us. I wanted my daughter to have a closer relationship with her dad, something I never had. Her stepmom was always kinda strict, but it wasn't as bad before as it is now. I don't think she was lying about her postpartum, but I didn't accept any of her excuses for hitting my daughter who's still a child. I have no problem with having my daughter help a little extra around their house because they have 3 little ones. But a lot of people have been telling me that it was parentification, so I'm definitely going to have a conversation with my ex about all of this mess. Another said, I have a feeling that you don't want your daughter to live with you all the time. Like, why? Original poster replied, I'm more than fine with my daughter living with me full-time. She used to whenever her dad lived a city away. I just grew up with an absent parent in my life, and I didn't want that for my daughter. I've never forced her to go to her dad's or to stay at my place. She has her own car now. I do take responsibility for not emphasizing to my daughter that she has a choice. I was used to our routine and dynamic from over the past 6 years. Nothing about our custody arrangement was done through court since me and my ex were never married. Everything was just mutually agreed upon. He's already said that it's fine for her to stay an extra week or so at mine since her stepmom still needs to calm down anyway. I've already had a discussion with them about how there needs to be boundaries set and that my daughter will not be returning to them until they get their stuff figured out, which I covered in my update I posted. Somebody said, screw that nasty old puss. Send an email documenting violence, neglect, and that she assaulted a minor and prevented your child from attending school. Unless and until she submits to a parenting plan, including attending parenting and anger management, your child will not be in their home. Additionally, since his wife has created a dangerous environment and 16YO will be 100% in your home, ask for an emergency support order. Immediately, yes, they are going to say you slapped her, but of course you were also attacked and threatened and felt unsafe knowing she is violent. Your ex sounds like a doormat, by the way. Where is his rage? Original poster replied, he's the my spouse before my kids type of person, which I understand to an extent. Once our kids grow up and leave, it will just be us left with our partners, so the marriage is something you need to prioritize and nurture without putting it to the side. However, I would not allow my own husband to treat my daughter like that, so I don't appreciate my ex letting it all slide like he did when he was present while it happened. Commenter, I'm seeing you say often that you don't mind your daughter helping doing little chores around their house, which makes sense. However, her chores are not little. Her stepmom is filling her life over there with chores upon chores. She is a large part of maintaining their household at this point. An excessive amount of work is demanded from her, and when she falls through, as children do, she gets berated and hit. That's toxic. Maybe ask your daughter, kindly and honestly, if she feels like her father and stepmother want her to prioritize their household needs over hers. Ask if she would feel anxiety about asking for a day away from chores on a stressful day. Ask her if she feels like her father has her back, even if it means opposing his wife. A big issue that I'm still seeing is that everyone is saying what they want her to do, what they're okay with her doing, what they think she should do. However, no one is asking her how these things are impacting her, mentally and academically, and what she wants to be done to make things better while still contributing. Of course she should contribute, but no child should be caring for others so much that they begin sinking in areas of their own life. Original poster replied, you are right, thank you. I feel like I failed as a mother since I wasn't able to protect my own child mentally or physically. I know I wasn't perfect, but I should have been better. The thing that's most important right now is helping my daughter's self-esteem and mental health get back up. I feel like fighting backs and forth isn't going to help solve the issues she has after what she's been through. Update. I don't know if anyone is even still interested in this family drama anymore, but here's some upsetting texts between me and my ex about the whole situation. He's defending my daughter's stepmom and won't back down, even though she is obviously in the wrong. I don't want to get lawyers involved, but if we can't come to a mutual agreement, then that's going to be the only option. Even more relevant comment, somebody said, not getting lawyers involved is a great idea if you want absolutely nothing to change and to not protect your daughter. I get you not wanting to. But it doesn't matter what you want in this situation. It's about what your daughter needs. Original poster replied, I don't want to get lawyers involved if we can come to a mutual decision that's best for our daughter. It'll be quicker and easier if it's just between our family. Also, having her two parents battling it out in court is what my daughter needs or wants at the moment. She just wants things to get better without jeopardizing her relationship with her father, which I've made sure to remind her that it doesn't even have to come to that. He's not even upset about her staying here longer. He's upset because he's convinced I'm trying to keep her away forever, which is what we've been arguing about. Our daughter can see him as much as she wants. She just doesn't want to go over to their house anymore. Yet, if this gets out of hand and comes to the point where we need a court-ordered custody agreement, then I will be more than happy to find a lawyer. Nomin Jemed, the commenter, both of you are failing your daughter. Your husband is allowing his wife to mistreat her, and you're doing nothing about it or fighting for full custody. If you let her go back there and don't fight for her, don't be shocked when she grows up to equally resent both of you. Don't fail your daughter. File a CPS report and a motion for full custody with supervised visits. Your husband has already showed you where his priorities are. Original poster replied, I understand everyone will have their own opinions on what I should be doing, but I know my daughter and I know my ex. Yes, I did fail by not intervening sooner, but it's not like my daughter always tells me everything exactly when it happens. I usually don't find out until weeks or months after the fact. Secondly, fighting a custody battle in court is not the first or only solution. I had her for 2 years full-time while her dad lived in San Antonio, which he was fine with, since he sometimes got her every other weekend or when he could. I already said that I'm addressing everything that happened and that she's going to stay with me for the meantime. I just need to convince my ex that I'm not trying to permanently separate him from his daughter, which is something she doesn't want either. These texts I showed were mainly to prove my point on how he keeps siding with his wife. Now, if my daughter wanted to cut her dad out completely, then fine. Let's go to court. But you guys keep suggesting this as if court will be a one-and-done easy thing. I'm not trying to subject my daughter to anything she isn't ready for or anything that she doesn't want. And she doesn't want to go in front of a judge and pick mom over dad. My husband and I have explained to her that she's doing nothing wrong if she does choose to do that, but she just wants to spend time with her dad without her stepmom, which is something that we can come to a conclusion with together.